So today's session, I'd like to cover the 3D environment in AutoCAD. So we have seen the every option that is available in our ribbon, the drafting tools, the modifying tools, the annotation, the layers, the properties, blocks, and groups, and uh, the viewports and all the things. From start, like how do you draw in AutoCAD to how do you insert a block and how do you generate a view and how do you print something in AutoCAD. So this is what we have covered until now. Just give me a minute. This is what we have covered until now. So today we will see the next level of AutoCAD. So uh, up until now we have seen every element that is related to only 2D environment. There is the next version that is present in the default AutoCAD that is called AutoCAD 3D, which is available by default in AutoCAD itself. But there are multiple flavors of this 3D version also. Like for example, if you're from mechanical stream, you can actually access certain toolbars in mechanical in which you'll have a ready-made, let's say if you're drawing a helical spring, let's say example, for example, there will be a palette for a helical spring and you can select the helical spring from there and you can just directly place it. And like say if you're from architecture background, there will be an option for walls and windows as we've seen in Revit yesterday that is possible to draw. But the downside is it is not as convenient as a typical 3D environment software. Like if you are pitching it this uh, AutoCAD 3D software to a more professional version like say Inventor or SolidWorks, AutoCAD will become very pale in comparison to those softwares. AutoCAD is very weak in comparison to those softwares. But if your requirement is very low and you are trying to just mimic certain items in 3D, then you can go for AutoCAD 3D. So in order to access your AutoCAD environment, what you have to do is you have to just go for your workspace settings. The workspace settings will be denoted by this gear symbol over here. Here, if you press this drop down, you will have your drafting and annotation settings over here. So if you want to access your 3D modeling, you have to go for 3D modeling over here. As soon as I click on the 3D modeling, you can see the whole environment is changed. Now we don't have our basic drafting tools over here. They will be there over here, but the purpose of these tools is very different from what we used to do in typical normal drafting. So our idea is to explore these options, but I would suggest you should not use AutoCAD 3D unless until your requirement is very minimal. If you are having a huge requirement for 3D, please upgrade your version. Like if you're from mechanical industry or any manufacturing, you have to go for either Inventor or SolidWorks or that type of software. If you are from construction, just go to Revit. But I'll just try to explain what are the default options that is there in AutoCAD 3D. So we have entered the 3D environment. The design space or the drafting space will be same as usual. But in order to see something in 3D, we have to use this cube and this tab, something called navigation bar. For suppose, if you open your AutoCAD and these two things are not there, you can just click on this minus icon over here. You can see view cube is ticked on. If I tick off, it will be gone. Again, navigation bar also, if I tick off, it will be gone. If you want to bring that back to your project, you have to go to this minus icon over here. Just switch on the sweep cube and switch on this navigation bar. So what this does is, like for example, if you want to have a top view, top right view, here you have top view, but if you press this view, it will automatically be in a top right environment. Now you can see, you can scroll. Now, if you want to navigate in this environment or you want to move, you have to press shift and your center button of your mouse. Again, I'll repeat, you have to press your shift and your center button of your mouse. Let me just give a small example so that you'll understand in a better way. I'll take some normal box over here. I'll place like this. Now, here I have my 2D shape. If I want to go to 3D and see how this thing looks like, you can press any corner like this. As soon as I go to any corner, you can see The object is already placed in 3D environment. Now we have our object, right? In order to look around this object, I have to navigate, right? For that, I'll press Shift and the center button of my mouse. Shift and center button will give you rotation option. If you want to zoom in, just scroll to your center button of your mouse. To scroll in, just scroll upwards, scroll out, scroll downwards. So that's it. And if you want to rotate, again, press Shift and center button. If you want to move, just press the center button only once. Just don't press Shift. You can pan anywhere in the screen. If you want to rotate around an object, press Shift and the center button of your mouse. Is it clear? If you want to rotate, you have to press Shift and the center button of your mouse. If you want to pan anywhere in the screen, just press only the center button of your mouse so you can pan. And if you want to zoom in to that object, you have to press your scroll bar. You have to scroll from your center button of your mouse up and down. Likewise, you can see. And again, if you want to get back to your top view, you can use this over here. Any view you want to move, change, you can change over here like this. If you want to go to top view, just press this. You will be in the top view right here like this. Okay, that's what basic introduction is. There are certain tools also, like if you want to navigate or just pan, as I've said, instead of selecting the center button of your mouse, you can select this option and use this option for panning. Okay, that this option is for panning, and if you want to come out of this command, press escape. Again, you will be in your crosshairs cursor. This cursor is called crosshair in AutoCAD. So if you want to come back to this crosshair after selecting this pan, you have to press escape. Then you'll be back in your crosshairs. So that's it. What navigation is in AutoCAD 3D environment. Let's go to this top view over here. Here, this is what a cube looks like. So this is a 3D. So we can fill this cube. Normally in AutoCAD, if you want to fill, you have to go for gradient. So, but here there are other options where you can fill this cube. Like here in the view, I have something called 2D wireframe. Wireframe is a mode which is very important if you're drafting or if you're modeling in 3D. So the basic explanation of wireframe is you have your object, right? If you try to wrap a wire at the edges of any object, the shape it forms, it's our wireframe. This is cube, so that looks like this. If you draw a circle and if you try to wrap, let's say I'll try to draw a circle over here. So these are the options that are possible for us. Let's say I'll try to draw a sphere. So you can see if I try to wrap a wire around the whole sphere, this is what it looks like, right? A wire from here, a wire here, a wire here, and wire this X and Y direction. That is what a sphere looks like. That mode is called as wireframe mode. And the next modes we have, different modes we have is a conceptual mode. Every object you draw in the conceptual mode will be like sketching. If you are drawing or drafting some sketch, you have to use the conceptual mode. If you want this object to be hidden, there is a difference between wireframe and hidden. Wireframe mode, you will see all the background. Like here in normal mode, if you are looking at the cube from this direction, okay, this thing which is a background will not be visible. But if you go to hidden mode, whatever that is in the background will not be visible. Only the object will be, you can see the object as if it is a solid. That's the main difference between wireframe and hidden. And there are multiple modes like realistic mode. If you're trying to apply a material for this object, okay, that material will take, as we've seen in the super hatch, you can give a material to any object and that object will look exactly the material which we give. And there are multiple modes also, like shaded, which will just normally shade all the objects that you are selecting. Shaded wireframe is even after shading also you will have your edges in the form of wireframe. And the next mode is like shades of gray, sketchy, and all the thing which normally we don't use that much, but Let's see what happens if we select shades of gray. Every object will be turned in the form of gray shade. Next is sketchy. Sketchy is something which is used for making cool animations and all such kind of stuff. You can use the sketchy mode. Like if you want to represent as if it was sketched by hand, you'll use the sketchy mode. And the next thing is wireframe. Wireframe we've seen here. This is 2D wireframe. This is 3D wireframe. The only thing is with 3D wireframe, we are here it's not visible, but if you're taking 3D wireframe, you will find many other types of represented. Like here, this is square, so we are not having much boxes. But if you are going something with a concept called meshing, which we'll discuss later, that place the wireframe will be useful. The 3D wireframe. Next is X-ray mode. So if you pass an X-ray in this object, how does that object look? So that is what X-ray mode will give us. Let me just drag the participant over a join. Okay, welcome, ma'am. So we are discussing about the 3D environment in AutoCAD. We just started, so we are discussing multiple shapes and how to shade our shapes. Like we have selected sphere and we have selected cube. Let's say we are going to add one more shape. So if you want to come back to a 2D environment or your top view, you can just always select this top. So you'll be in our top view. So if I want to draw one more shape, let's say I'm going to draw cylinder. You have to give your first point and you have to give your cylinder dia. After that, you have to go to your 3D environment by clicking over here. Then you can actually give your depth or height. So that's how you are going to draw your cylinder. All right. So we have three shapes. There are multiple shapes which you can draw. Like, say, for example, if you want to draw a cone, the same goes for cone. Give your first is the diameter, and then as you go top, you can specify your height. Thereby, you can form your cone. You can just change it to any view or any shade you like. And there are other shapes also, like you've seen a sphere. Let's say you want to draw a pyramid. The same goes for pyramid. You have to mention the direction which your pyramid has to be there, and then you can give the length. And then once you have given your length, you can just simply press shift and the center button of your mouse so that you can adjust your view. After that, you can give your height of your pyramid like this. You have your 3D object prepared. Next, if you want to draw, let's say a wedge is you are giving a length and the breadth and also one side for the triangle. So you can see a wedge is formed. These objects are mainly used for representation purpose. If you want object with finer details, we have to extrude them. Let's see extrude after we complete all this default options. Let's say I want to have a torus. Torus is nothing like a shape of a donut. I'll give my external dia, and as soon as I'll scroll inside, you can see there is an internal dia. So we can look any object from top, down, bottom, and up by just pressing center button and also our center button of your mouse and shift key. So these are the default shapes. So are there any other shapes present? Yes. To access any other shapes, you have to go for solid over here. Here, the solid, you'll have box, cylinder, and sphere, which we have already seen. And if you click on this polysolid, we have also seen these shapes also. So are there any other ways to draw or give or shape? Yes. So if you're familiar with software called SketchUp, so AutoCAD has copied similar items from SketchUp. So let's say I have a curve, and that curve is of a wall. Or like say I have a wall and I want to draw that wall. what you can do is say for let me just draw a line like this, and this should be like thickness. This thickness is okay for me. I'll just draw line one more time. I'll just erase this 4 minutes. Now let's see how this thing looks in 3D. So this is what, let's say we have drawn a wall. This is my wall. I want to extrude this wall, or I want to like have a 3D surface for this wall. First, let me join this. After that, you can go for this extrude tool over here, extrude, and select the object you want to extrude. Enter. As soon as enter, you can extrude that object to your wall height. Let's say if it is 2, enter 2 units. So your wall will be of 2 units, and that can be extruded over here. So you can have many functions for this wall as well. Like if you want to cut, if you want to give windows, doors, all these to this wall itself, it is easy. But it is not as easy as compared to the other software which I have shown other night, that is Revit. So it is still a lot of work, but you can actually do or model in AutoCAD. Okay. So what are the other functionalities of extrude? Let's say I'll go to top again. I'll try to rotate the top here in this direction. Let me delete this. Let's say I have a complicated shape like this, and I'm having an arc over here. Sorry, let's say spline and something like this. Okay, now this I'll just try to join all these things. J. Now this is a single object. If I want to extrude this object without giving a depth, is it possible? Let's check it. Extrude. Enter. You can see it is possible to extrude something by just giving a shape, an outline. So that is called extrude. The same goes for push pull also. There is one more option that is called push pull. So you can see press pull. In SketchUp, a software for SketchUp, it is called push pull. Here, they have renamed it as press pull. Let's see what that is. Let's say REC, I have a rectangle. Let's say I have offset, and I'll give offset distance of this much, and I'll offset this rectangle. Now, if I want to drag this both the things, or whatever the shape is right over here, if I want to drag that place, let's go for press pull. Oh, my system is stuck. Excuse me for a minute. So if I select both the items, as soon as I select both the items, you can see I can extrude to a length which I want. So that is the use of press pull. You getting my point? So So 3D is always tricky. There'll be like software issues with 3D in AutoCAD. So I'll just come out of this command, and you can see we have drawn our wall. So these are basic modeling commands. Just try to explore these commands and what are the uses and advantages of this command. This again, from this option, it will be like it's not possible to explain in one session. It's like a difficult concepts like meshing. If you're from mechanical background, I think you can understand. Meshing is for uh, when you have completed your 3D model, if you want to fine tune the model so that you can send the model to other processes, like you want to analyze the model, like if you're drawing a car, let's say, that car has to be sent to the computational fluid dynamics team, which analyze different pressure points of the car, or what is the drag coefficient of the car, or like where is this heat is generated in the car. Such elements can be possible only after meshing an object after we complete the 3D. So that is the option for mesh. Mesh is nothing but this object will be split into infinite number of columns, and like here you can see there is the representation and image. You can see this is what the actual image looks in the yellow color. If you send that object to meshing, it will be splitted in X and Y number of items so that it is easily countable and it can be easily programmable. Once you form the meshing for the object, it will be then sent to the softwares which we have discussed, like CFD or ANSYS. Many softwares are there. There, that object will undergo certain tests, which is used to determine the CFD forces or the pressure points. Many tests will be done for that object. So that's the use of the meshing. And once we have started modeling, you can get to know what this editing are. Like, for example, if you want to edit only one side of this object, there is a tool. If you want to give cut this object, if you want to extrude only one side, or if you want to paste one side, there are multiple possible ways which you can do with this solid editing object. Okay. And there are many number of planes in this object. You can select only one, as we have seen, we have X, Y, Z. So XZ, YZ, and XY. So any number of in any plane you can work. That can be selected by our section pane. I'm just trying to give a brief introduction. That's it. I'm not going to stress much in AutoCAD 3D. So that's it for home commands. We come to solid. Again, we have many more commands over here to work on our solid object. So let's say you want to peep a hole here, you can peep, or you want to, there is a huge drawing and you want to extract only some part of the drawing, you can have union, subtract, intersection. As you can see over here, if you select union, the whole drawing will be extruded. If you select subtract, only one part of the drawing will be extruded or have a cut. You can see in the image over here. And if you're going for intersection, like so the image over here, this type of 3D modeling can be achieved with these tools called as Boolean. So like if you want to add a fillet in 3D, or if you want to have a taper surface, if you want to have a cut that is shell, all this can be added in this environment. But we are not talking about any specific settings to any separate field, because that will not be present in AutoCAD plain flavor. As we've discussed earlier, if you want to have the settings in 3D related to your environment, you have to go for that particular software. Let me just show it over here. As we are all aware of this particular software, let's say I'll type AutoCAD, go. You can see there are multiple flavors of this software. Map 3D is used for creating large infrastructure projects. If you are creating large infrastructure projects, there we are going to use Map 3D. This is especially used for mapping and all the other stuff related to mapping. And Plant 3D is exclusively used for industrial design, where there will be a lot of, like, say, if you're designing a fertilizer plant or cement factory. So in such places, normal AutoCAD will not be useful. So they have to use their something called P&ID. That is possible via this Plant 3D. And this is plain AutoCAD. As we have discussed, there is something called AutoCAD Mechanical, which can be exclusively used for mechanical engineers. So the difference between mechanical and MEP is mechanical serves only the machining and that kind of mechanical stuff. MEP here is means that mechanical, electrical, plumbing, which is in the construction industry. So in construction industry, if we talk about mechanical, it will be about HVAC, piping will be our piping for HVAC and also plumbing. That will exclusively deal about our the construction industry. So the other software, as we've discussed, is AutoCAD Architecture, which exclusively deals about architecture and its tool palettes. And AutoCAD Electrical deals about all the electrical related stuff like circuits and wiring, all these things. So these are many flavors that are available at present in AutoCAD. If you are interested in any AutoCAD, you can download and install. The process is similar to the AutoCAD which we have seen. I hope everyone has installed AutoCAD. The process is similar to what the normal AutoCAD is. So let's say I think it's enough for AutoCAD 3D introduction. Let's say we have done our AutoCAD 3D functionality. If you want to go back to our AutoCAD 2D again, the 2D environment, you can again just go back to our gear, which is settings. Just go for your drafting and annotation. So we'll be back to our AutoCAD 2D environment, and this is what our tool palette is for 2D environment. Okay, that is for a brief introduction about AutoCAD 3D. Let me just close this in, and I think one of you has asked that out. So let me just stop this session and clarify. Let's go for doubt session now.